friends! I promised this video several weeks ago, and I am behind, so here we are. Hope you didn't forget that I asked for questions. I've now been back on YouTube for a couple of months. I took a couple years long break. Obviously, I have aged 2 years in that time, and a lot has happened in that time. So I put out a call out for questions just to catch up. I have that post up. It is ordered by like what was the most liked comments, so hopefully these were all the burning questions. Hopefully this just feels like a fun little FaceTime between you and me. Go for a walk or clean your apartment while you listen to me chatter. I, for one, will be crocheting because update number 1 about me, I started crocheting. So right now this looks like nothing. It kind of looks like I'm just making like an unraveled tampon. This is going to be a book sleeve. The reason I put this video off is because I needed to start the pattern so that I could just like do a mindless task and I wasn't sitting there having to read a pattern between each question. So now we are good. This is the bottom of it and I will just start crocheting up to the top. So let's jump into some of your questions. So the top question I got on this post was, do you still play ukulele? Yes, I do. I'm very out of practice. And the second part of that comment was, do you ever talk to your college roommates? This is the top post, and I'm not sure if people were more curious about the roommates or the ukulele, maybe both. But as far as the roommates, but the answer is really not really. Caitlin and I have been, I won't say close, but we've kept in contact. We follow each other. I mean, I follow everyone still, but she and I still talk every now and then. The rest, not so much. Which is fine. Also, apologies. I'm not going to be making eye contact very much, so I'm not kidding. Like, go find something else to do and just listen to me talk, because it's not going to be really anything to look at. Next question. What are your favorite and least favorite parts about living alone? The favorites have to be, like, the freedom of it. Like, I can do what I want when I want. I don't have to be quiet for anyone. No one's telling me what to do or where to put my stuff. I don't have to share anything. My least favorite is it can get lonely. It's expensive. I have like a never-ending to-do list of things to do around my apartment and I never finish it. And then Sarah asked, have you tried any new recipes and or do you have a favorite recipe that you've come up with yourself that you'd like to share? The answer to that second one is absolutely not. I do not cook unless it is following a recipe. Sometimes I'll take liberties with them and leave stuff out or add more seasoning in, but no, I never go off the books. But as far as my favorite recipes, I actually use Pinterest for recipes a lot of the time. So I'll link you. I actually have a, what's the Pinterest word for it? A pin board just for like my make again recipes. So like things that I enjoyed. And I think I have a favorites board as well, but it's a little bit sparse right now. I did follow the recipe in Jenna Rumble's video to make a garbage plate a couple of months ago. And that was spectacular. Like I need to do it again because it was so fun. It just takes like half a day of cooking because there's so many elements to it. But if you watch that video and you like all the elements inside, it was interesting. I would give it a shot. Jordan asked, if you could invite 3 characters from any book to dinner, who would you invite? Be fucking for real. Kenji, Juliet, Warner. Easy. I'm sure there's gonna be more Shatter Me questions in this, so maybe I'll reserve further comment for those, but as much as I sit here and say that I've moved on and I don't really care about it anymore and the last 3 books were terrible, they still live in my head rent-free every day. Like, they got me through my teenage years, so I would do anything to meet them as if they were real people. Someone said, I remember when Folklore came out, you said you didn't like it and mentioned you hadn't liked an album since 1989. What made you give it another chance, or what made you start listening to her new stuff again? What even came out after 1989? Just Reputation? I didn't like Reputation. And also, I didn't listen to Lover when it came out. I think Folklore, for a lot of people, restarted a love for Taylor. I think we needed something to bolster us through COVID. The first couple times I listened to Folklore, I just thought it sounded like background music. I really liked The One and Betty, and like the songs that were more upbeat, that were similar to her previous sound, were the ones that I was vibing with. But the more I listened to it and like the more distinct the songs became, it grew on me. Right now, my favorite songs on it are Invisible String, Mirror Ball. I will just say, I know Cardigan is like the basic answer, but Cardigan is probably top 5 favorite Taylor Swift songs of all time. So good. And it was my top song after Folklore came out on Spotify. I think I just kept listening to it and it grew on me. And then from there, I re-listened to a bunch of her older stuff and learned a lot of new songs. You didn't ask about Evermore, and I don't know if anyone else will mention it. I did not like Evermore as much. To this day, Evermore is like full of skips for me. I think it's my least favorite album from her, but I adored Midnights. Midnights, there are 0 skips, except sometimes High Infidelity and Bigger Than the Whole Sky when I'm not in the mood. So yeah, that's my story with Taylor Swift. Thank you for asking. Ooh, Sylvie said, what are the top 5 books you read during your hiatus? I don't remember. Future me, insert something here. But the second part of the question was, if you're comfortable talking about it, what has helped you the most coping with anxiety? I mean, in a weird, twisted way, the best thing that ever happened to me was going through a really hard time with it, because it forced me to get help. And now I have the perspective of, even if it's bad, it's not going to be as bad as that was. Which maybe that's not helpful, because you might be going through a totally separate situation that's, you feel bad every day. But I always use going through hard times as a litmus test of like, hey, I've been there, done that. It doesn't last forever. And really, anxiety for me is like finding distractions and like talking to myself in my own head down from the ledge. I would say use the resources that you have if you have access to therapy or a counselor. I've been really lucky the past couple of years. I only like infrequently feel bouts of anxiety. I'm sending you my love. Hopefully that helped. Alice asked, ooh, and this got a lot of likes, would you feel comfortable talking about the end of your old job, mainly how you moved on and accepted it? I got let go from my last job officially. I literally had been working all day, and then at the end of the day got called into a conference room with my other coworker who did social media on the marketing team, and we were both told, we're getting rid of your positions. My first question was, okay, well, can I reapply to the new position that you're opening up? Because they combined our 2 roles into one. And they were like, no, it's for someone with a lot more experience. That hurt, but I think it was easy to move on from, because earlier in the week, I'd had a really difficult conversation with my boss where I like sobbed in front of him about how much I was struggling at work. So I think it came at a good time. I was doing so much there that it got me a lot of good experience, and I was ready to move on basically. So how did I accept it? The shock of it and the hurt of feeling so disposable was something that I had to like cry my way through for a while. But honestly, just after time passed and now that I have something a lot better, you know, I just only feel grateful that I don't think I would have left unless that happened. I had like a weird kinship with the company. Like it was so small, we were all so close knit that I felt too guilty to leave. So I think it helped to nudge me in a new direction. I think I'm in a much better place. You just have to know that there's a lot of other things to do out there. There's always going to be something the same, if not better. And sometimes when things like that happen, it's for the best. Summer asked, what do you do for work now? Talking about work is such a fine line for me, because on one hand, you could look at my LinkedIn and find out, so it's not like I can keep it a secret, but also I don't want to be vlogging in the office like I did at my last job. I want to have some boundaries with it. I'm happy to mention I work in paid advertising. It's weird going from a nonprofit to like a corporate we need money kind of job. It's fun. I get to work with a lot of creative, and copywriting is my background, so I get to use all of that, and it's great. Oh gosh, I got another Taylor Swift comment. I love to see your rankings, thoughts, deep dives, and everything you want to share about all things Taylor Swift. This could be a whole video unto itself. I don't think I can deep dive it in this video that's already gonna be long enough. The main thing you should know is my top songs are... Nope, I can't even do that. It's hard for me to rank them because I feel like certain Taylor albums and songs have such high nostalgia credibility that I'm like, this is my favorite song. But Tim McGraw is not her best written song she's ever had. But it ranks up high for me because I loved that song as a kid. I feel very lucky to have listened to her since I was like 9 because I have such emotional connections to some of her music. It is impossible for me to rank them though. I think my ranking of Midnights though, I did that recently. My favorite song on Midnights is Paris. Oh my god. Paris, it's so good. I love The Great War, Bejeweled, Karma, the classics. Mastermind is one of my favorites on Midnights. I'm trying to remember. I have like a list of my ranking. I'll put it here. Midnights was incredible. I can't wait to see it live. Someone just said horses. You mentioned you loved them, and that was intriguing. I'd love to know more about that. I have a horse. His name is Ollie. He's turning 31 next month, which is absolutely bonkers. He's a paint horse. I got him when I was 13 in 2010. I did shows with him for a little bit. Before that, I did jumping, which I loved, but it kept giving me concussions and it's expensive. When I got him, I chilled, and now I just go up and visit him. I still watch a lot of horse YouTube content. One of my main motivators for weight loss, which is not an ongoing thing by any means, should be anyway, one of my main motivations for that is like I do really want to get back to writing regularly. It's something that was super fun for me, so I hate having like a numerical goal in mind of what weight I want to be, but if I did, it would be like the sweet spot of being able to ride horses again. How fun is it having 3 cats live with you? Dramatic. I feel like 2's a party, 3's a crowd. I feel like a weird cat lady whenever I say I have 3, but I do love cuddling with them, so it's fun. The second part of that question was also, where's Jason Momoa? Is he still in your apartment? Happy to report, yes. Someone asked, can you talk about how you struggled financially and how you made ends meet? Also, how did you afford to travel on a budget? So after I lost my job, basically I forgot that credit cards existed, so I pulled out of my debit and my savings to pay rent, to buy groceries. And I was really struggling after I left my last job. I kind of had a meltdown for a month where I really did not want to find a job. I had no idea what I wanted to do, and I was just kind of panicking. And the only way that you can get unemployment is if you have proof that you are applying to jobs. Hi, handsome. And for a while, I just didn't apply to jobs because I didn't want to get a job. Didn't know what I wanted to apply to. I didn't feel like I qualified for anything. I was just so upset. So I didn't get unemployment for several months. Or several weeks, I should say, which, as you can imagine, quickly depleted my savings. One of my most vivid memories is needing to make dinner, but the only thing that I had was like the coins in my wallet. So I went to Target and bought like $5 worth of canned goods with spare change. Like, I've never had to be resourceful and scrounge the way that I did when I was like at negative $10 in my account. I felt like I couldn't go anywhere because I didn't want to waste gas money. Like, when friends would invite me to places, I couldn't afford to go out to eat or go do an escape room or drive anywhere. So it was really isolating. I was doing returns just to get money back from things, selling a lot of my books, Googling every day, like, what are ways to make money? Like, can I do surveys? Can I do money back on the things that I buy? Should I be opening an Etsy shop and selling some of my crochet? And then once I got my job, I had a moment of relief being like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna get this salary. Like, it's higher than my last job. I'm gonna be totally okay. But even after I got that job, I was still living paycheck to paycheck because I had no savings, and the amount that I was making just barely covered my expenses and then the credit card debt that I had racked up. Once I remembered that I could put my rent on a credit card and I don't just have to keep overdrawing my account on my debit card. So even after getting a job, I still was having a hard time. Your question as far as how did I afford to travel on a budget? I only traveled to places where I had friends so I could crash at their place, and I work for a company where I get free flights. So I'm fortunate to have that. A reason why I struggled a lot at the end of last year was because I did so much travel, so it probably was not a wise decision to be doing everything that I did. And that's about it for my money problems. Are you a Broadway girly? If so, fave musicals? Somewhat. I'm not against a musical. I don't know a lot of them other than like Wicked, Hamilton, Phantom of the Opera. I went and saw Six for the first time a couple of weeks ago, and that was really fun. But no, I don't really keep up with new ones. And I've never seen one on Broadway before, so that's still on my to-do list. What's your go-to coffee drink or order? Iced chai latte with oat milk. Are there authors you will never read from again? And are there authors that no matter what they put out, you will buy or read immediately? The authors I'll never read from again is vast. Some of the examples I can think of are like the dark romance books on TikTok, Colleen Hoover. Buy and read immediately. Catherine Moon. Enough said. This one makes me so happy. You have the best music. I love that I found a lot from you. What are your favorite less well-known bands? That is such a nice compliment. I feel like I don't listen that adventurously to music. I mean, let me open my Spotify and tell you some of the things I've been enjoying recently. If you want to follow me on Spotify, I do have a playlist called Current Bops where I'll like rotate in and out all the things that I'm enjoying at the moment. So songs that are on that right now, I love Chelsea Cutler. Her song Crazier Things is so sweet. Gracie Abrams, I feel like isn't really even that small anymore because now she's opening for Taylor Swift, but Gracie Abrams is so good. I've been obsessed with Gigi. She only has like 5 songs on Spotify at the moment, but her songs Sometimes and Glue I'm addicted to them. Hayley Kiyoko is pretty popular, I would say, but I've been really into her album Panorama. If I'm gonna put you on one artist, it'll be Remy Wolf. If you have not heard her song Quiet on Set or Liquor Store or Grumpy Old Man, that album is so good. I need you to go listen to it. I've also been really into like Sufjan Stevens lately and RYX. They have like really acoustic, gentle music. I love Daughter and Maisie Peters. Simmel is great. Benny is great. That's all I got. Again, just go follow me on Spotify. Ooh, here's a good question. How long have you been considering coming back to YouTube, and what was the straw that broke the camel's back? The difficult thing was I always told myself if I ever came back, I would be coming back as a totally new person. Like I would have routines and structure and I'd be a lot healthier, which to some degree I think I am, especially compared to the time around when I left. But I never expected to come back this soon. Honestly, it was because I had a lot of friends weighing in and saying, you do not understand how well you do this and how much you are missed, which sounds like I'm making that up, but honestly, that is the feedback that I got from people. A huge shout out to my friends that like walked me through it and literally wrote pros and cons lists with me to persuade me to get back to it. I'm not gonna lie and say that money wasn't a persuasive factor, but having the additional income would have been nice. To this day, I still haven't gotten a paycheck though, so it's not like it's the only thing keeping me here. But I think the main factor was I was just like, there's nothing in me screaming no anymore. Can you please tell us about your transition music? So it sounds Latinx or like a horn section. You're referring to the greatest song of all time, Island Shore. I will play it for you now. I don't know, it's one of the default Mac sounds. There's like a full minute-long version of it too, but I just think it's a funny transition. But yes, it's called Island Short if you would like to include that in your videos, because it's fun. Someone said, what do you do when you feel sad or having a bad day? That is something I have not cracked, because I just go the fuck home, cry myself to sleep, and try again the next day. Definitely one of my problems is learning how to still be a functioning human when I'm experiencing negative emotions. Do you plan on staying in Texas long term or moving out of state? I live my life by the path of least resistance, so staying in Texas seems easiest. Therefore, that is what I will do for the foreseeable future. I would love to try living somewhere else. The idea of moving sounds very stressful. I can't think of anywhere else that I would want to live. Probably somewhere liberal would be nice. California is super expensive and New York City is crazy, and I couldn't even name another city. I'm not against like the Pacific Northwest, but again, it's just super unfamiliar. My parents are here. I like being close to them. I'm not against it, but right now, nothing's compelling me to leave. Here it is. I was waiting for it. What is your relationship now with the Shatter Me series? I think at a base level, obviously, I loved it. I mean, I can't overnight not care about it. Like, to this day, I still think about the characters. They're in my head. I, like, grew up alongside them, I feel like, so it's hard to let them go. But what I will say is, and what I feel like I couldn't say back in the day when the new sequels were coming out, they are not nearly as good as the original 3. They feel like such add-on books, I almost don't even consider them canon anymore. Excuse me? Book 4, I feel like was acceptable. I hated Defy Me. The reading vlog I have up for it is pretty positive just because like I was excited about new content. It had good plot twists. Like it was a fun book to read, even book 6 as well. But they took the series in such a different direction that like ruins my love of it. It was so bad. I rated Imagine Me 5 stars because I was so happy it was over. And then I went back and put that down to 1 a couple of years later. So it's really hard. Like I just saw Taha at the beginning of this month and I'm like, hi, oh my god, I love you. Like this series is everything. But it's just because I have compartmentalized the last 3 books and don't consider them a real part of the series because they just felt like such an afterthought. And rather than being a sequel and taking the story forward, it just goes back in and like muddles up the characters' histories. I would rather not change anything about, the things I love about it. So there's bits and pieces that I decide whether or not I want it to be part of the world in my head, which is kind of delusional, but It's what I have to do to feel okay about it. I did not read Believe Me. I was not one of the girlies shouting in her DMs for an epilogue or another sequel. To be frank, people always asked me to write like a wedding or proposal fan fiction, and I never did, because that was the one thing that I never really could visualize of how that would go. So it's the one page I wanted to leave unturned. And the fact that it exists is painful. I haven't read it. I don't care to. I know I'm not gonna like it. I don't care that there's smut in it. I'll still talk about it with people and I still appreciate and enjoy it, but it's hard to recommend because the last 3 books are so bad. But it's been so long since they came out that I'm finally like at peace with that, and I'm just like doing my own thing, pretending they don't exist. Have you been seeing anyone romantically lately? No. The last date I went on, I went home and cried because the entire date I was just sitting there staring at him thinking like, oh my god, don't kiss me, don't ask for us to go anywhere after this, oh my god, I don't want to do anything, oh my god, like freaking myself out. Not even in a way like he was creepy or ugly or anything, like he was fine. I was just freaking myself out that I just went home and cried like, what's wrong with me? Have not retried since then, don't really care to. Or that's what I'm telling myself. I live vicariously through books, and I have my cats. I will continue to wait and see if the perfect relationship just falls onto my lap, because that is the level of effort I'm at this point. Are you still learning German? Ja, ein bisschen. Ich wünsche eines Tages Deutschland zu besuchen. Aber ich bin nervös. Meine Deutsch ist nicht sehr gut. Aber die Sprache ist Spaß. Und es freue mich zu Deutschen lernen. Cool, hopefully those were sentences. Oh, someone said I can just tell you're a Dance Moms girly. Are you more of a Chloe or Maddie fan? I have been clocked, because Dance Moms was my show. Honestly, I was a Maddie fan for a while. Toward the end, I was rooting for Chloe. I think it started getting boring that Maddie was consistently the best, so I started rooting for the underdog. Still sad she left. I was always waiting for her to come back. Favorite Barbie movie? Barbie Princess and the Pauper. No competition. Do you have any siblings? Yes. Are you close? No. If you could change one thing about the world, what would it be and why? Less capitalism, distribution of resources, get rid of billionaires, end climate change. And finally, my go-to comfort show. This is stupid and it's very specific, but the Disney episode of Unwrapped, it's on YouTube. It is my favorite thing. If I have an anxiety attack or I just need something to numb my brain, I will watch that on repeat. I love Unwrapped. But a second answer would be Bridgerton. I'm obsessed with the Bridgerton TV show, and the book was good as well. I can't believe I've been doing this for 45 minutes and all I have is this. It's supposed to like fold up like this. Oh, I guess it does. All right, well, it's been 45 minutes and all I've managed to do is make a banana. So hopefully that answered some of your burning questions. If you have anything else, feel free to leave a comment. We can chat below.